I lost my ears.
What's the craziest thing you did on an alpha chat? That's a good question.
Oh, like on Zoom.
Yeah.
Remember, we played those games, so there were kind of interesting things going on.
Game.
I've done a handstand on Zoom once. I love to play because we're recording now.
We're not. Oh, Flip, we are recording. So why are you recording already?
Big one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Alpha interview. Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Lloyd, your host, and we'll be speaking to some very guys. So I think the reason that I may have been asked to do this interview is because I've been asked to do Alpha and to be a host multiple times, and I've always been like, no thanks. Because I have like a lot of fears, and I'm like, I'm definitely not ready to do that. I don't have the right answers. It's just not a space that I would engage in. And now it's pretty awkward because now Alpha's church-wide and everybody can be the host. I'm very excited, but it is like a really big step. And yeah, I just wanted to ask you guys what you would say if I was scared from saying no to being an Alpha host many times before, and now it's kind of come up on a very wide scale. And yeah, what would you guys say if somebody, including myself, was very scared of being a host and not knowing what to say and stuff?
Okay, so it happened to me, Sarah. My very first host time, I was asked to be a helper to Paul Hurtson. So, okay, that was just like intense. And there were two atheists at the table. So I was like, I can't do this. This is too intimidating from all angles. So yeah, I know how you feel. And it was an interesting time because it was great to listen to Paul, but it was not a theological debate, which I thought it might be, and I was just going to sit and play tennis, It wasn't. It was literally actually having a conversation with these people and hearing about them and their lives and where they come from and why they are atheists, and then talking through the actual videos. So I actually was able to say a few things, which was pretty cool, but it was more about just chatting through what we had just watched. And it was really cool being with Paul to hear him do it. So I learned a lot, but the intimidation fell away very quickly. So I was pleasantly surprised in the end.
And did you feel inadequate at any point? Were there moments where you were like...
totally, all the time.
Hectic.
Totally, all the time. But it's okay because we're not supposed to answer. Like, the answers are all in the videos. So we're just chatting about what they were thinking about while they were watching the video. And we're chatting. It's a conversation. So you chat back. So, yeah, I am inadequate. I'm not going to answer the questions. I still feel that way. And I'm 5 alphas down. I still can't answer the questions. And I don't have to. So that's the freedom. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So while you're doing you've watched the video and then there's questions going, is there any point where you feel like are they asking you the question and you feeling put on the spot? Or is there the space to be like, I don't really know the answer to that? Or does that even happen? Like, does it happen where someone asks you and you have to say that? Or like you're saying, I'm just trying to figure out what you mean by it's all in the video, but I just can't really picture how you wouldn't end up being like put on the spot of like having to give an account of what you're going to say.
Yes, it all happens. So there's times where you feel like you're being put on the spot, and that's the joy of having a co-person with you and a co-host or someone else, because they're also watching and listening, and if they see you running into like, I don't know what to say, or like gone blank, screensaver mode, then they will jump in and you can take a breather. And sometimes you do. You get asked direct questions, and then there's ways to deal with that. You would either say, I personally, this is my personal feelings, or the Christian way is, this is how they look at it. So there are ways to deal with it, but the best way is to, when they ask a question, you go, that's a very interesting question. What do you think about it? And you pull someone else into the conversation,
Okay.
especially someone that hasn't been speaking for a while.
Okay,
So, yeah.
cool. And Josh, did you have any like fears? Because you've done one alpha, right?
Yeah, but like a long time ago. And so this was the first time, with One Hope and stuff. So I did kind of know what to expect, but my fears were not, I guess, like that. My fears are that I wouldn't shut up because, that's me. So it is seriously something that I was nervous about, because it's not about me. And I think for me, my biggest fear was just, am I going to be able to just be quiet and pass it on to someone else? I know that I'm pretty good with people, and like in that sort of circumstance I thrive, because I'm like aware people, there's like energy and stuff and excitement, and I'm just stoked. But then to temper that and kind of get it under control, and rather like let them speak rather than me. So that was my biggest fear. There definitely were nights where I was like, just keep your mouth shut. But there was also times where like it just worked, it just bounced from person to person to person, and it's super encouraging when that happens.
That's so cool, and like super interesting, for even just from my perspective of thinking like, I don't know what I'm going to say, and to know that actually there's times where I'm going to have to like restrict myself, because I do know what to say, just because we believe what we believe, right? So it's just cool to know that we aim more on the side of that with Alpha, of like, okay, I'm here to listen, I'm here to ask the questions back. I don't need to like give a full rundown of Jesus.
And I think that's also like the value of having two people, because like two people, people are different. So whereas I'm gonna be the person who's just gonna keep talking, so when you get to that point of everyone's silent, then Josh will pipe up, no worries, that's okay. And then in other points where I'm talking too much, Charl will be like, hey, why don't we let Sean talk for a little while, kind of thing. So it's value, like you help each other out, and I think that's what's awesome about Alpha. It's really not about just one single person. And like, if you both guys have gone through the equipping and you know the idea behind it, there's definitely like, if one person's maybe messing up slightly, the other person is gonna help out to be like, okay, cool, let's do this. So I don't know, that was helpful for me.
That's awesome. Charl, do you have anything to add on like the fear side of things?
It's definitely intimidating to be a host when you let the idea that you need to convince someone to believe, when you let that idea take over, it can be quite intimidating. But for me, the beauty of Alpha is the series is so well produced and it's so well put together. It's been almost like tried and tested. So many people have done it over so many years. So you can kind of rest in the fact that you know that it works. And that brings so much comfort and so much security that really the pressure is not on you. Yeah, I didn't have that initial fear of hosting because I kind of slipped in by the side door. The first time I came with a friend, usually you'd invite a friend and then you would go with that person for 2 or 3 weeks and then let the person carry on their own. But my friend wouldn't have stayed around if I didn't stick around with her. So I ended up doing the whole course basically as a helper, but it wasn't intended like that from the start. So that was the first time, and I just really enjoyed it. So after that, we decided to do Alpha with our life group. And then it was also such a safe space because everyone was believers already, but the content is so great in terms of foundations for Christianity that we thought it would be really good to do it in life group. Yeah, and then by the time I was asked to be a host in the normal Alpha, by then I knew the content quite well, so I knew that I could trust in it, and working as a team, it's not really not on you. So it wasn't that scary anymore, just because I knew this is a system that works and you can just kind of trust God to work through it.
That's something that immediately comes like to your attention. You're like, those videos are so good. What else do I have to do? You know, like they explained that there's no reason for me to tell the Christian point of view, because it's been said and been said so well that it's not about that anymore. It's literally about people processing and talking it out. Like that is what for me is like so cool. It really has nothing to do with me. They do the coolest part and they're like, boom, this is what we believe, and you're just like, okay, cool. Now what do you think about what we believe, kind of thing, you know? It's a vibe.
That's so cool. That's also like what I'm hearing, that's really like making my ears ring in terms of what you're saying, Charl, is one, it's Jesus who saves them. So like you just pitching up, that's the stuff, but like you don't feel the pressure of having to save them, because ultimately that's not something you can do, but you showing up, you there to ask the questions. And the other thing that I found really interesting that you said is that it's so helpful for you. Like you actually enjoyed it and then did it in a life group space with a bunch of Christians. So those foundations, I know I've done Alpha in a life group space. So not with the training, but just learning. And it was so helpful for my faith of like, oh, this is what I actually believe in, kind of thing. So I can really relate to enjoying that in that space. So yeah, that's so cool to know, guys. Sure.
Yeah, even now, every time I would learn something new, I've done it 4 or 5 times, and every time there's something new that speaks to me at that time.
Amazing. And guys, just in terms of Alpha, it's always been marketed as this like you get free food kind of vibe, and it's in person and it's like chill and around that kind of environment. That the last Alpha we did now, I think we've done a youth one and then one like adult one or whatever you call it. But how did it work online? Sitting like this doing Alpha, and there's like Holy Spirit moments and all sorts of weird things. How did you guys navigate that? How did it feel? Was it really awkward? Was it like how kind of did that kind of play out? You know,
for us, for the online Alpha kind of fell into place as the whole lockdown thing started going. So the whole Zoom thing was all new. Everything was new. Now, actually, it's even better because people are used to the whole Zoom thing and online. So it's even going to be better. I think we were just like sideswept from both like lockdown, having to navigate Zoom, which I'd never known how to use anyway, and now having to learn how to do a Zoom etiquette. So it was interesting, but you kind of, there's no time to worry about it because the conversations are starting and you just start talking to people and you actually forget very quickly that it's online or that you have to worry about it being online. It's like, this thing's happening, we're meeting now and we're going to chat about this, and we start the conversation. So yeah, I don't think it's as intense as people think it might be, especially now that we've had so much practice lately with all the lockdown.
What happened for us was we were like, okay, cool, we got food, we got lights, we got all this crap, like people are going to come, you know, that's kind of what we thought. So if you understand what is being said there, you know, like we're gonna do it, we're attracting people, you know, we're like all these things, and eliminating those things and having Zoom. Obviously, like I don't know, for me, I had pretty little faith, like especially for like the Holy Spirit weekend, and I was like, this is not going to work. Like you need to have people, and I like, you know, I get energy from people, which has been an interesting lesson for me because Zoom meetings, I'm still excited because I still see people's faces. I don't necessarily see people. I just need to see people, and then I'm like, woo, let's go. So I think that what we learned is, I don't know, for me was massive, is that like God cannot be boxed. Like I it's something that frustrates me, like, and I do it myself, is when I box him and I'm like, no, it's not going to work because, you know, we only have online now, or we only have Zoom meetings, and he just destroyed that view. And for me, like even more so now. I'm like, okay, cool. Just try your best not to box him out, because he will work even in a Zoom meeting space, which I don't know. I thought that was sick, like so cool.
There's some other things as well, in the sense that I was allowed to go to Alpha in my pajamas because it was online and nobody knew I was in my pajamas. And it was comfortable. You can sit anywhere. Like, you don't have to get in a car, go somewhere, sit at a table. It's like, we're lazy now. We really are. So sitting on my bed in my PJs, munching on my dinner or whatever, it actually became quite cool. It was very relaxed. It was really nice.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely had a few pantsless sessions.
What? You cannot put this on Zoom. Are you wearing pants now?
I am, I promise.
We also did have some fun. We realized quickly that, okay, we have to transition now to Zoom, and we weren't sure at first if it was going to work. And obviously then you have to replace that food and fellowship kind of element. So we quickly decided to start doing some icebreakers, and there's a lot of innovative and creative online games that you can play on Zoom. So we would ask people to watch the video, for example, at 7 o'clock, and then make themselves a cup of tea or coffee, and then join at 7:45. And then we would just chat and catch up and play some funny Zoom games. Yeah, and then we'd get into the conversation. So we still had that kind of hospitality element, because that's important to make people feel comfortable. You can't just jump straight into the deep conversations.
That was something very valuable. I don't know that I've taken away and want to like employ in the next one, is like literally asking the stupidest question they've ever heard, because no one cares about answering stupid questions. They're like, okay, yeah, cool, my favorite toothpaste is Colgate, Aquafresh, whatever, and then they're disarmed. Everyone's disarmed. They're like, okay, cool, but like, I guess I talk now. I can talk. I guess I'm a deep.
Yeah.
They like, wait, am I talking now? Kind of thing. So it's I know that sounds a bit rough because I'm like disarming people, but I think it's valuable in terms of just opening that flow. Like ask a silly question, ask their favorite dance move. They're more comfortable immediately. And like Charl said, you're already comfortable in your home. Now the only thing that needs to happen is you need to get comfortable with the people. So we've basically eliminated one place where they have to be comfortable, because they used to have to come into a foreign environment, meet foreign people, and now all of a sudden get comfortable in this area enough to be able to share, enough to be able to think that their opinion is worth it. But now we've eliminated that foreign place. They're in their own place. They're already comfortable. All they have to do is get comfortable with the people. And I think that makes it almost a quicker transition into relationship, because you're like, okay, cool, like I'm comfortable, but now I just need to get comfortable with these people, and then you get comfortable and everything's shanana, and it just starts working.
You guys know how to sell alpha online. So there's still all of the banter, and you don't have to be some amazing theologian. The videos do it for you, and you get to just have the best time.
Yeah.
Sounds grand. I can do that. So guys, as alpha veterans, do you still, it's still weird for me in terms of like inviting someone and being like, hey, would you like to explore the meaning of life? It just seems like a lot to like put in like a message, or like just ask in person of these people that we interact with every day. Do you have any tips, or like, is it still intimidating after inviting people a lot? Like, what can I expect in terms of how I go about it and stuff?
So the first time I did alpha, honestly was like, nah, I'm not doing that. Are you guys mull? Seeing as though, my friend group is quite on the, let's just say, very lost scale. So I was super nervous, and I was like, no, that's not happening. So the second time around, due to, as we just talked about, like my fears being abated, how good the alpha course is and how well it works, I think it definitely did assist in inviting someone, because I know it's such a safe space, and it's such a cool space for even those people who are like so far gone that you're like, hey, I don't know what's gonna change that. I don't know. It definitely helped to know what the course was about and then share with someone. But in terms of asking someone, there is an element of going about it in the right way, but also there's an element of just like Paul said it. We have to look at the message of Jesus like bringing a doc someone. You know, these people need it. They may not know it, but they need something. So there is an element of just biting the bullet and going for it, but I think, you know, there's definitely unhelpful ways. Like, for instance, just sending the video and being like, hey, do you want to come? Like, probably not a great thing. Like, how I would do it is, you know, you start a conversation like, hey, what's up? How you doing? How's life going? How's lockdown? Are you busy? Are you bored? Do you want to do something? Hey, I'm doing this alpha course. Do you want to come with me? Kind of thing. You know, there's definitely ways around it. My job was specifically hard with some of the people I asked this time because I hadn't even spoken to some of them in like a couple of months, you know, so I felt a bit bad because I was like going to be messaging them and be like, hey, do you want to come here? So there has to be like a relationship, and I guess it's going to be similar with a lot of people now because of lockdown, not having chatted to people. So, you know, just pick that relationship up before you just blurt right into it. I've talked to a couple of people, and a lot of them are like, how do you do this? How do you ask? How do you, like, it's so overwhelming. And I think it is overwhelming, but what made it easy for me was knowing how much of a safe space Alpha is. And, you know, this time I'm going to be leading a group, and it's going to be like some pretty rough people, and I'm excited because, you know, there's no set way to do it. Like, in terms of the videos, they watch the videos, but in terms of the environment you set, you know, and like it doesn't have to be this scary Christian, stop talking Christianese to me. It doesn't have to be that place, you know. It just has to be a room full of people discussing things that they probably thought by themselves but never thought about in amongst people, you know. So I don't know, it knowing that the course is a safe space and knowing that there's not going to be any freaking Bible bashing and shoving Christian down your throat, you know, like that helps for me so much, because I have experienced that kind of Christian who throws it at your face, and honestly I don't appreciate it that much. So I don't know, they have put a lot of thought into this Alpha course, and they put a lot of thought into how it's going to work, and it's really, I would compare it to inviting someone for a Zoom meeting about any subject. You know, it's not necessarily I'm reaching out to these people and telling them they need Jesus, quickly grab Jesus. I'm just like, hey, you want to talk about this? And then they come, you know. So it's really cool. I don't know. I'm talking too much. Shut up, Josh. Go for it. Someone else.
I also have had a few conversations with some people that are really anxious, like sleepless nights, anxious about asking their friends, and what if they get rejected, and what if it damages the relationship. And there's a lot of worry and concern out there, and it's fearful. It is tough. So I sort of was like, so now you're going to watch a movie that you really like and you think your friend's going to like it. You are going to go, would you like to come watch this movie with me? It's about this or whatever. And it's, the person will either go, oh, that's not my scene, I don't really like that type of movie, or, yeah, okay, I'll come. And that's literally it. Like, the pressure is off. It's like, I almost like, just take that pressure right off your shoulders. It doesn't have to be there. It's literally just asking someone if they're keen to come or not. And I think if you ask in that way, in the non-pressured way, they'll receive it in a non-pressured way. Let the pressure go.
So far, the worst responses I've heard about is Carmen asked someone, and he was like, Brie, I'm not religious. Like, why would I do that? And then they moved on, and now they're going for a hike somewhere together. So, like, you know, no damaged relationship, just chilled. And my worst response was someone sending me a meme of Donald Trump doing this. So, you know, Those are the worst responses. So if you think about, like there's really no risk. You are telling them about something that's very personal to you, so you can take it maybe as an offense. But the biggest thing is, obviously it is a bit of a risk in terms of your relationship, but I think it's so small.
I felt that even while being a host, I was still intimidated to ask people to join the course. And I can't remember if I invited someone last time. But I have this friend who I've wanted to invite for quite a while. She has a small child. She's lives in a different town. And I think the past 2 alphas I've wanted to invite her, and I just realized it's not going to work. It's just not practical for her. Maybe I should find an alpha in her city or whatever. But this time I'm really excited because now that it's online, I can invite her, and she can still say no. But I just feel like there's extra opportunities here to invite people that we wouldn't have been able to invite before. And I feel like my faith is being stirred to just take the plunge and ask them.
How critical is the prayer element of before you ask people?
So I think it's critical from both angles. It's critical if you're going to be asking, then I would say get someone to pray for you. Even if you can say, I'm going to be asking so-and-so when I have coffee with them at 2:00 tomorrow, will you please be praying for me? Because you also need to be calm, and the Holy Spirit does that. So, and he gives you the right words to say. So it's really cool for someone to be praying for you. And it also helps, it makes everyone feel part of this thing as well. Like, you don't have to be a lone ranger. And then also to be praying that when the person hears your request or when you ask them, that they'll say yes. That's a cool thing to pray. Like, Lord, ready their hearts. And even just soften their hearts. So prayer is number one.
I was wrestling with the idea of asking some of these people for friggin' a month. When you've done certain things with certain people, it's just really weird asking them to come to an alpha evening. And so I was nervous as crap. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I have to admit, through prayer and asking God, like, okay, cool, I'm nervous about this thing. Like, am I even going to be able to do this? Like, I don't freaking know. I need your help. Please come help me. Like, these are the kind of prayers I was praying for quite a while. And then, I don't know, I think it happened after Paul kind of announced this whole worldwide church alpha thing. I just was like, I sat on my phone and I was like, okay, I'm gonna invite people. And then I went through, and people I've been thinking about for a while, I just did it, and it was so weird because that wrestling and that struggling and that I don't want to do this kind of thing, it was still there, but it went away so friggin' quickly because of those prayers, because of my prayers of being like, God, I need your help to do this. Like, I can't do this. And if we think about it, it's such a simple task, but it is hard, and you can't say that it's not hard, because it is. But that wrestling with it for weeks before, and then getting to a point where I just sat down on my phone and I was like, cool, I'm gonna send voice note to 8 people, and out of those 8 people I got 4 yeses and then some weird no's. So it wasn't a bad time. It was really cool. And I think prayer is super important. Even like we were saying, it definitely for when you ask them, but if you feel inadequate and you feel like you can't do it, that's the power of prayer. It's awesome.
That's so cool, because what I'm hearing from that is it's no excuse if you've lived life with those people, blackout drunk, high as a kite, done some things that you really regret. You don't need to feel ashamed or geez, I can't ask kind of thing. You just kind of bring that before God, and you're like, I don't know what they're even going to think of me. Just being so unworthy, and you just go for it. So it's so awesome to hear that you just real in that sense of Jesus, I don't know what's cracking. I don't know why they would say yes or even think that I follow God. So that's amazing. Sure, guys.
And also something that came to me after praying was literally like God said it so clearly to me. He was like, cool, it's going to be hard, but all you really need to do is be real. And I think so many people, I don't know, there's so little realness in the world. Like everyone's got like these masks or okay, like I don't know. It's just there's no realness, you know. And I think people appreciate it so much. If you ask them and you're like, oh wait, this is where I'm at, bro. Like, do you want to come chat about it with me? You know, like people appreciate that. And realness was something that definitely came after praying. And I was like, hey, cool. I'm just gonna be real with these people, and if they want to come, they want to come. You know, and that was quite freeing for me.
That's so cool. I'm like in line with Paul's sermon of like we're carrying life here. This isn't like a little like cute thing of like if they want to do it, if it's a hobby. So to have that kind of mindset of like, listen, I've done what I've done, but this is the truth kind of thing is amazing.
It's also like it can be overwhelming to like, who do I ask? Like I want to do this thing. I want to do this thing, and like, oh, who do I ask? And my first port of call is to ask God, who must you ask? And just wait on him a bit and allow him to bring people to your mind. And then the other thing was just to remember, I've got this Jesus. I got him. And I'm super happy having him. And I want them to be super happy and have him too. So it just brings it's like we're not trying to give them or push anything on them. We're actually trying to tell them we've got this and it's doing us good. And we want them to be doing good as well. Like that, we want them to have the same experiences we're having because it's cool. It's like, it's not a bad thing. It's a cool thing. And to go in with that angle is like, it means you love them actually, even if you've been high as a kite or drunk or whatever. Like you've found this person that loves you regardless, and you want them to find that person too, because you want them to have that freedom too.
I have a question for Josh that I think would be helpful. So doing Alpha Online also sometimes has some challenges. It's not always smooth sailing. Josh, there were a few times when your internet wasn't playing along. How did you feel, and what did you end up doing then?
So yeah, there was definitely frustration there. And like it put me in quite a bad mood. Because I was like, if this is supposed to be working, I'm supposed to be on this thing. But like I think, you know, God is sovereign, and like what's gonna happen is gonna happen. And I personally, when that happened, you know, Shaw gave me the idea just to a couple of pray for the people while, you know, other people were hosting. And I think that's just as powerful as being there. You know, if you're gonna pray for these people and you're not gonna be there, it's almost a lesson in how much you don't matter. If you're not there, it's not the end of the world. You know, like God's still gonna do what He's got to do, and you can assist by praying for that and praying that He would do what He wants to do. Yeah, that's my answer to that.
I like how you also said that Shaw sent you a message to encourage you to pray, and that was also something that we found quite helpful when we had some technical difficulties or when we were struggling with anything. It's because it's online, it's also quite easy to send a message to a friend and say, please pray, we're struggling with this topic, or we need God to move, or we need the Holy Spirit to do something.
Exactly. And you can even a couple of sneaky chat room, you know, you message individual people and you're like, you'll pray for this, bro, I'm struggling, you know, kind of thing, whatever. It's pretty cool.
So the real big question is, to put your money where your mouth is, are you all who have been marketing Alpha to us now, are you all hosts again? Like, are you keen to do it this time around?
Definitely.
Yes.
What are you expecting us?
Yes,
No.
Yes.
I'm out of here.
Yes, I have. And
Yeah.
I'm actually quite excited to somehow do Alpha along with my life group and involve them in some way, either us doing it together or doing it as smaller groups with people or joining the general Alpha. Definitely excited to be involved and to get other people involved as well.
I'm excited to host one because this will be the first one that I'm hosting, and to kind of make a vibe, and I'm stoked about it.
Okay, so Sarah, a big question for you now. Are you ready to host Alpha now?
I am ready. I think you guys have sold me on a couple of things. One,
Yes.
it reminded me that God's got this. He's in control. So prayer is critical. And two, I don't have to be a theologian of any sort. I'm going there, I'm listening, I'm going to learn stuff, and I can just rely, one, on the videos, and two, on the Holy Spirit and what happens in that space. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm keen.
Woo! Cool. Job done.
If we had icebreaker questions, I'm definitely, if I end up hosting a group, I'll do like an icebreaker of your favorite dance move, just so I can go like this on the screen.